Hello, it's Who Knows When, now featuring my voice. Today, we are going to be making an 808 from scratch in Serum. The 808 is somewhat confusingly named. We're not going to be making a Roland TR-808 drum machine. We're going to be making an 808 sub common in most modern rap music. This is the 808 we're making today. So the way we're going to do this is by using something called additive synthesis. So the first thing we're going to do is to lower our oscillator by 2 octaves so we can get it in a more appropriate range. Step 1 in making our 808 is going to be using additive synthesis. Additive synthesis is combining different sine waves at different frequencies to make a sound. Each of these faders represents a sine wave at different frequencies, with the furthest to the left being the lowest, and the further right you go, the higher the frequency gets. Now when it comes to making an 808, I would advise using only the bottom 4 frequencies. You can obviously get creative in many different ways. For the 808 we're making today, we're only going to be using the bottom frequency. The second step is going to be using the ADSR. Now the ADSR decides how the sound travels, what the volume of the sound is going to be like, whether it's going to be sustained, short, long, or pretty much anything under the sun. Since we're making a short 808 today, we're going to be leaving the decay at 600 milliseconds, sustain all the way down, put the attack at 2 milliseconds to avoid clicks and stuff, and pull the tension up to just above halfway. The third step in making the 808 is going to be adding some punch. So the way we do this is by dragging an envelope up to the coarse pitch over here, press Alt-Shift to make it unidirectional, drag it all the way up, pull the sustain all the way down, and leave the decay at 20 milliseconds. Now you can adjust the decay depending on what type of kick you want. The second thing we're going to do with the pitch envelope is delay the attack to get sort of that clicky sound that's common in a lot of 808s. And the way you do that is by dragging out the attack, pulling the tension all the way down. Something like 20 milliseconds will do just fine. So what we've done is we've essentially delayed the punch, which is what's creating that clicky sound, instead of just a straight up punch. Step 4 in making our 808 is going to be adding a filter to cut out the high end. As you can hear now, it doesn't really sound too deep and cool. It sounds more like a tech house kick sort of. So I'm just going to select low 24, put the cutoff down quite low, put the resonance up a tiny bit. It might be worth pulling the drive up a bit to get some volume. Again, you can put the filter anywhere you want. You can put it lower for a more deeper sound, or you can open it up a bit for a more pronounced kick. Now, step 5 in making the 808 is probably the most important step, and that's going to be adding distortion, because the way our 808 sounds right now is pretty boring. Now you can basically get creative in whatever way you like with the distortion. You can select a softer mode like the tube distortion. You can go a bit rougher with something like this one. You can even use the X shaper to make your own distortion. For simplicity's sake, we're just going to use the tube distortion and leave the dry pretty high up. Now the final thing we're going to do with the 808 is assign some more envelopes around. So a few things I like to do is add the volume envelope to the drive of the distortion. This means that it's most intense in the start and that it sort of tapers off towards the end. So that's going to give it a bit more of a cleaner sound. If you want to go more aggressive, you can obviously just shove it up and leave it there. The second thing I like to do is to add the pitch envelope to the filter. So this is going to open up the sound just as our punch is hitting. So that's going to leave a bit more top end in the kick, as opposed to the rest of the 808. I'd be careful and not go too far, because then you can get the whole tech house kick again. There is such a thing as too much click. So those are some of the basic steps of making an 808 and serum using additive synthesis. Again, you can get creative in many different ways. You can add more harmonics in the additive synthesis. You can change around the envelope, mess around with the distortion, mess around with the filter. You can do loads of things. But those are essentially the 5 steps I would use when creating an 808. Thank you very much for watching. If you did like the video, I'm sure there's something you could do. I don't quite remember what.